Aloha and welcome to Spirit Chat Radio. Today I'm going to be talking about 6 ways energy shifts affect you and or your life. This subject is coming up. It's a little bit different because of some other podcasting that I've been doing, but it's coming up because some recent things that I've been posting and the feedback I've been getting, etc., on energy waves. I'm going to talk a little bit about that first, and then I'm going to get into a little bit more of energy waves if you don't know what they are. Anyways, I have several groups, talk about it on every podcast or just different places where I interact and teach stuff. I have a newsletter that goes out. I get lots of feedback on, people email me back all the time, and I have a higher purpose learning group, which is my free Facebook group where we go in and we talk about all things spiritual, and we have a lot of really cool discussions in there. I talk about that a lot, but if you're new, the way you can join in that group is you can go to my keys to the spiritworld.com page, and up in the right hand corner there should be a drop down that says Spirit Community, and you can click on that, and you have to be accepted into the group because, as you guys know, I'm really particular about who comes into the group because we want it to keep a very positive vibe, no spam stuff, and just lots of knowledge and educational things and discussions going on there. And so we keep that really positive. So anyways, once you click on that, then Lydia goes through the members and then accepts them in like once a day or every other day, and then you're approved in and you can go into some of the discussions. But I do post also a lot in my newsletter. Again, if you want to be a part of that, you can go download my chi meditation or get on my newsletter at keys2thespiritworld.com. And I post a lot about energy waves on Facebook or in my groups or on my newsletter. And the reason I started posting about that is because I have noticed, even though I've been super sensitive, I guess I want to rephrase that. Even though I'm a very developed, highly sensitive psychic, and I'm a super strong empath, I've never quite experienced the waves of energy coming at me, specifically, me personally, in the way that I have in the last few years. And I've noticed that it kind of throws me off kilter a little bit, or it did a few years ago when I started noticing that I'm like, why am I feeling this way so intently? This is, kind of unusual. Now I'm dealing with something else altogether, just besides my regular psychic senses. So I started paying more attention, and my guides started showing me, and I started becoming very aware of energy waves. And these energy waves are similar to what many people would kind of be familiar with, which would be sort of the way that astrology charts and astrology stuff talks about how energetically things are moving with a full moon, or with Mercury retrograde, or different things that are happening with planetary alignment, tides and things like that. Those are all a result of they're moving energy. So different planetary alignment and different things, all is moving energy. And so these energy waves, as they started affecting me, I started posting about them on some of my social media sites. And it was interesting, when I would post something about an energy wave, I would have just tons of comments saying, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe you said that. Thank you so much, because I am struggling with this very same thing." And so over the years, as I began to post, and I was doing it kind of monthly, and now things are happening where I'm really busy. So now I'm just posting when I'm noticing some very intense movement. And if I don't post them, it's gotten to the point where my groups will start asking me about them. What's going on with energy, because I'm feeling very strange. So that's kind of how that all came about, is I kind of basically just started posting it, explaining to everybody, because I'm always trying to teach and I'm always trying to help others kind of maneuver life with their gifts and learn how to adapt with their gifts. So I thought it might be helpful if people were understanding that some of the things they were experiencing were not on a personal level, but they were on a universal energetic level, which was helping people make more sense of why they were having a bad week or a great week, or why they were experiencing some emotions that weren't quite necessarily attached to anything that they could make sense of. And anyways, that's how the energy reports came about. The more that I did it, the more popular they became. And so I thought it would be good to do a podcast on them, because I'm still getting lots of questions on energy waves when I post them. For people who are new, they want to know, kind of what are they, how fast do they come, and, what's the deal. So basically, I post my experience with energy waves. So when I'm posting them, I'm not going through an astrology chart. I think astrology charts are amazing and wonderful. I just don't have time to. And so and plus the waves, how they're affecting me personally, tend to be very sporadic and very quick. So I wouldn't have time to sit down unless somebody made me a personal chart. And truthfully, let's just face it, I wouldn't read it anyways. I wouldn't go through the chart and go, okay, what am I going to be experiencing this week? I feel so tuned into my own spiritual body and what's going on around me. And I've trained myself to be so that I don't feel like I need to look at a piece of paper and kind of line out what's going to happen for the next week. I just allow it to happen and kind of deal with it as it comes. So in that regard, there's all this energetic movement. Their energy's always moving. It's constantly. People understand that if they walk into a house and they don't like the energy, if something feels off, or like a business or whatever, they kind of understand that. It's very similar to that, only it's not necessarily tied to a place. These energy waves I'm talking to are not necessarily tied to a place. The movement affects more like people and different things like that, and that's why it affects your life. And these energy waves, like I said, are dictated by such things as planetary movement and all that kind of thing. But my personal experience of what I'm noticing, before astrology would post larger things. They would post like, the Mercury retrograde times or the full moon times. Now it's like there's all this mini stuff coming in between. So you have all your major shifting, your major planetary charts and alignment and all that. But now we have all these mini waves coming through. And for my personal experience, before the mini waves, I was not feeling as intensely as I am now. And that's come all with this spiritual alignment shift, as far as going from physically based energy to spiritually based energy. And as you guys all know, or most of you who follow me, we're going from a physical era to a spiritual era. And so what that means is our spiritual bodies are becoming more primary than our physical bodies. And as that happens, we are being able to sense a lot more things than we normally could sense. So how you would sort of envision that would be your sense, as far as your sensitivity level goes, it might be something like, say, you went out in the sun for years and years and years, but you always had an umbrella and you always had lots of sunscreen on. And now, all of a sudden, somebody's taken your umbrella and you ran out of sunscreen. And so now you're out in the sun, same environment, the sun is out, and now you can feel the sun a lot more. You can feel it sort of penetrate your skin. You can feel sort of getting sunburnt. You're getting hotter. You're getting sweatier. But your senses, you're feeling a lot more sensations than you did when you had the protection of the umbrella and the sunscreen. And those were barriers, right? So you had this protective barrier, and now you don't. It's very similar. When we were in our physical bodies and the energy was primarily physical-based energy, we had all these barriers and protection between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. And now that's been lifted and pulled away. And as that's been lifted and pulled away, we are now experiencing a lot more intensity as far as the spiritual energy goes. As far as the universal energy, we can feel that a lot more because that barrier is now gone. And so that's why I personally and other people, we are feeling these waves a lot more than we've ever felt before, and the intensity is a lot higher than that it's ever been before. So how's this basically come down to affecting your life? That's really what it comes down to. Why should you care? Why should you care? Why should you care? Why is this affecting your life? Well, so I'm going to explain to you the 6 primary ways that these energy shifts affect you so that you can kind of understand where I'm coming from when I do these energetic posts. And truthfully, this knowledge, why I'm even talking about it, is because when you start understanding it, it brings more awareness to your brain, and it allows the separation, and it allows a little bit of relaxation when you're not fighting the wave so much. So just the knowledge alone will help you kind of calm a little bit in a way that you won't fight the wave so much, and you won't internalize all these things as an issue you are personally dealing with. Now, sometimes you are having a personal issue that you need to be dealing with, but if you're becoming sensitive to the waves and all this stuff starts happening all the time, you will feel like you're on a roller coaster of emotions. You will internalize it and just be like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I deal better than this? This is craziness. And this will help you kind of figure out and compartmentalize why that is. Like, what are you experiencing and why it's happening that way? So the first way that these energetic shifts affect you is the energy of your body and your physical body. That's one of the first ways that it can affect you. So you may feel, a lot of times waves will come through and you will either feel a burst of energy, or you might feel very tired all of a sudden, or very mentally exhausted kind of all of a sudden, like, which actually that doesn't really fit into the physical. So the physical body, the actual physical body, you may feel a burst of energy, or you just may feel like you need to take a nap. You may just feel very, very low energy. Just, if you go to exercise, I really notice it because I work out a lot. And so when a wave will hit me, like out of nowhere, I can tell, because when I go to exercise, I don't love to exercise, I like the results. So on the way there, you're kind of working yourself up to exercise. But when I get there, if I'm really having a hard time working through the training, the routine that we do, or the weightlifting, whatever, I can tell right away that a lot of times that has to do with an energy wave. The energy doesn't seem to be flowing through my body to make me have this like great workout, and I am just very lethargic. And so bursts of energy, of feeling a lot of energy or feeling lethargic and wanting to take a nap, though, that's one of the first ways that it can affect your body. The other thing with that, which is kind of two-part, is it can affect your physical health as far as getting flus or sinus stuff or whatever, if it affects your energetic body in a way that gives you some really low energy. If it affects your body in a way that gives you some really low energy, and you try to force yourself through everything and you kind of don't take time to rest, because I did a video on this on YouTube. If you haven't heard it, you might want to go check it out, because it's not on iTunes or Blog Talk. And it's about how to adjust to energy waves. And you can just type in like Jennifer O'Neill Spirit Chat on YouTube and you should find it, and subscribe if you like. But that video will talk about how to adjust. But when you're feeling a burst of energy, that is the time to go, do all the things that you've been wanting to do and get things done. Or just, use the energy for whatever. If you're feeling lethargic and just like you want a nap, or you're just feeling low energy, if you try to force your way through it, that actually can then have the opposite effect of, it won't bring you necessarily more energy, but the more you fight it and you don't allow yourself to take some naps and you don't allow yourself some downtime, it can sometimes sort of lower your immune system a little to where you get like a cold or sinus thing or something like that. So affecting your body energetically, your physical body energetically, would be one of the ways that it affects you. Another way that it affects you would be your mood and feeling emotionally one way or another. So I guess some of the things would be like if you're feeling just super uplifted and super positive that day, that can be one effect. And then if you're feeling maybe agitated or angry, that was one of the ones that recently came through. I noticed immediately on a Friday, last Friday, that I was feeling super edgy, and I'm usually very positive and uplifting. I'm usually just, my nature is just being in a good mood. And when I started feeling very irritated and agitated and angry, out of nowhere, there was not an event that tied to it. There was no, I could just feel that energy, that irritation. I knew immediately there was a wave coming through, because that's very not like me. And so then I started noticing it with people around me. And I have had people ask me before, well, when you post these energy waves, a lot of times you post them and it's like, it's not always good. It seems like a lot of times they're always like, watch out for, people being angry, irritated, agitated and whatnot. Is that all these energy waves bring? No, that's not all the energy waves bring. Those are the ones that grab your attention the most. Because if you're having just a great day and you're feeling positive and you're getting things done and it's a wave that is coming that helped you propel forward in the most positive way, a lot of times nobody stops and questions it, and even including myself. You don't stop for a minute and go, wow, why am I having this really great day? Like, I just feel pumped and getting things done. Now, I have on occasion, and I've posted energy wave reports on those on occasion. But unless it's like a super positive, powerful wave coming through, it doesn't tend to necessarily draw my attention as much as it probably doesn't draw your attention. But once you feeling hit with one that brings you down a little bit more, feeling agitated, those tend to draw your attention more. So it's not that there's more negative ones coming in than more positive ones. It's just sometimes the negative ones tend to grab our attention more than some of the positive ones. And I have, like I said, posted about some really cool ones. There was ones a few months ago that had kept coming through that everybody was spring cleaning their houses and getting organized, and they had all this energy to get unfinished projects done, and including myself. It was awesome, amazing, loved it, rode the wave as far as it would possibly go, and it was pretty cool. So we do have some really neat ones that come through as well. But mood is something, I think that mood people notice, and the physical body people notice probably more so. Those are probably some of the top two ones that people will notice out of an energy wave more than they will notice some of the other ones that I'm going to be talking about here. Well, there's a few others that people really tend to notice, but those are really, really noticeable. Just feeling emotionally, strung out, or emotionally tired, or emotionally excited, and like, just like having like a really good mood that day. Like I said, it can be positive and it can be not so positive. The last one brought a lot of weird, aggressive, angry emotions for a lot of people, and that was not so fun. So we were talking about the energy in the body, and then the mood, how you're feeling emotionally. Which brings us to number 3. Motivation and productivity is also super affected by energy waves. I notice this a lot, and I had a lot of emphasis on it because it makes me crazy. I don't like the waves, how it can affect my motivation and productivity. Because, for instance, my schedule is super crazy. And I know that even as all of you out there probably have children, or a lot of you guys have children, or you might even have a crazy school schedule. I'm not the only one with a crazy schedule. I know most listeners have a crazy schedule out there. But and when you have a crazy schedule, in your mind, you kind of line things out, and you need to get this done today and this done tomorrow, and you have all this stuff that you want to handle. So for me, I work so much that I definitely have a system of doing all these different things, podcasts and videos and newsletters, and that's not to mention some other businesses that I run. And so it's very helpful when I'm just feeling normal myself and I have some motivation and I'm feeling very productive. And then when that one energy wave came through a few months ago, that everybody was spring cleaning and doing all that stuff, the motivation and productivity that I had during that time was just off the charts. It was so fun. But I can have, just like you guys can have, you can have other days where it just hits you out of nowhere and you don't want to do anything. You're feeling, again, tired, lethargic. You want to take a nap. You just have low motivation to do anything. That was something that came through with one of these last waves, particularly frustrating for me because I had planned on doing some podcasting and some different things. Now, when I'm feeling low motivation, I really steer clear of doing anything that I'm teaching about or something like that because I feel that comes through and I'm not giving my best. So that becomes a little frustrating when I feel like I have a schedule to hold. But I know myself well enough to know, and it's the thing that I talked about in the YouTube video, when you're experiencing the low energy and low motivation, if they come together, they don't always come together, but in this particular last one they did, that's time to take a break. So I don't necessarily always, how the energy waves, when the good ones come in, it's super exciting and it's super cool. But when the ones that have more of a low energy tone to them come through, I don't really I can get frustrated for a minute, but I don't really dwell on it too much because I do work a lot and I take that as an opportunity to have some downtime. So when they come through, I just feel like it's the universe telling me that it's time to take a break, spend some family time, and change my routine. I always change my routine when a wave comes through that is I'm feeling like is not bringing out the best in me. Always switch up what I'm doing. It's the weird, it's breaking inertia. If you're shower in the morning, you shower at night. If you're, maybe exercising at one part of your day, you shift it to a different day. If you're exercising a couple days a week, maybe you try more. If you're trying more, then maybe you go back. I shift things because it feels good to me to shift my patterns during those times. And again, I talk about that in that video, I'm pretty sure. So motivation and productivity. It's, again, if you're feeling super productive, then ride that sucker out and just enjoy. And if you're feeling low motivation, here's the other thing about the waves. They don't usually tend to last more than a couple weeks, if even. And the intensity, it's kind of like, think of like a Mercury retrograde type of thing. The intensity of it is not usually the entire 2 weeks. They may hit somebody at an earlier part of the 2-week phase and they hit somebody else, might be in the middle or the later parts, but the intensity where it's might be you're feeling super productive or super low motivation or something, it's a shorter time span. So I don't worry about it. I don't sit there and worry, oh my gosh, am I going to feel this way forever? Or I need to hurry up and get this done because I'm feeling super, super motivated. I don't really even think about it. I just feel like, okay, well, time to take a break. And oh, wow, I'm going to ride this out until it's done because this is super cool. So I don't think much about it other than once I realize that that's what's affecting me, then I just adjust what I'm doing day to day according to that. The other thing that it can affect is your psychic senses. People ask me about this. Does it affect your psychic senses? It can. It doesn't always. but it can affect some people in both ways. It can affect their sensitivity to feeling a lot more tuned in, and it can also affect some people in a sense of feeling just more off during that time frame. I don't tend to notice it myself so much in my psychic senses, because my psychic senses are developed to a point that it's just, I'm so tuned in, and it's such a part of my daily life. It's not just in my teaching, and I know that most of you know this, who have listened to me. My psychic senses, I utilize 24/7. I'm constantly integrating them into, everything, what I eat, when I should eat, what I'm wearing that day. And I'm drawn to how I feel, and I'm using my psychic senses all the time. And so for me, it doesn't tend to, it's so much a part of who I am, I don't really notice, but I do know and have seen it affect other people who are developing, where they might feel a little bit more off or more tuned in, more clarity, more spirit activity. If it's a positive wave, sometimes they tend to have more spirit activity during that time. In my house, we have spirit activity most all the time. So it's just how life's been in my household for years and years and years. So we don't see a decline or an incline personally, but I do know that it can affect your psychic senses, and it can affect spirit activity for some people. So that would be another thing. So that brings us to outlook and perspective, which is number 5 on the ways it affects you. Now, you may think, well, that, makes total sense, but why does that even matter? Well, because many times those energetic waves are filled with information, and they are also filled with the ability, or, when waves come in, what they do is they flow through your body. So when a wave comes in, it flows through and around your body, but it literally flows through your body. And so it's something that you're weathering on an energetic level and on a physical level. And as it flows through your body, it can shift your perspective and shift your outlook. It can many times bring clarity into a situation, or something you've been thinking about, or just all of a sudden you might have clarity of some of your past issues or something out of nowhere. It can actually move energy that you've been holding on to and blocking. It can release blocked energy. So it can bring clarity, and it can release blocked energy many times. It can give you hope. You can have an aha moment. You can be like, wow, I never thought about this. For some reason today, a light bulb just went on, and I just had some resolution with this particular issue or thing or person. And that is super awesome. I noticed that even with this last wave, with the movement and energy, even though it did bring some, lethargic energy with it, and agitation and irritation, it did bring some clarity with it. It actually, I see clarity and release of energy blocks more often than I see that it produces energy blocks, because like I said, that energy is, when the wave's coming through, it's moving through you. It's pushing through you. And the reason that I explain in the video, the more you resist that and push against the wave that's trying to just flow through you, like working through feeling lethargic or not taking the downtime, the more you push back to the wave, the more you push resistance, the more you will create your own energetic blocks, the more it will feel like you're fighting something. It'll just feel so much harder to get through a wave. The more that you resist it, the more that you just kind of accept it, allow it, know it's not going to last but probably a few days for the intensity part of it, and you just alter your schedule accordingly and just make a few shifts. You're going to notice that you're going to grab a lot of the good things that come out of a wave, and you're going to probably get some downtime. It's interesting I think it's a lot in our culture in the United States here. A lot of people don't feel like downtime is acceptable. They have a hard time they feel like it's self-indulgent. And I know women especially, and I'm sure there's men out there too, who, feel like that they're breadwinners, men or women, or caretaking the family, men or women. They feel like they should never take downtime, or take time for themselves, or take time to recharge. And they really push through. For those of you who have that tendency, you will most likely have the tendency to want to fight an energetic wave. And when you do that, you're going to notice you're probably not going to fare so well. That would be also similar to, I use a lot of analogies, but that would be similar to, we live in Hawaii, and of course if you get in a riptide or a current that is pulling you out, I'm sure most of you have heard, you fight the current and you're going to be tired. You're going to put yourself in danger because you won't be able to keep yourself above water. And, it's like the worst thing you could possibly do. You tire yourself out, and you potentially could have some major bad things happen. If you allow yourself to float with the current, it takes you to a certain part of the water usually, where you can then try to move forward, or you kind of try to move out sideways of the current, and then you've also saved your energy to stay afloat and whatnot. Forcing yourself to work against a universal energetic wave, these movements that are moving by planetary shifts and alignments and things, forcing yourself to fight against that never works out very well. Your bodies, your spiritual bodies, all things, trees, the earth, whatever, we're all made of energy, and this energy is constantly moving. And even if you think whatever I'm saying on here is just doesn't apply to you and it sounds absolutely ridiculous, that doesn't really change the fact of the facts are the facts. It's scientifically proven. We're made of energy. It moves. It is what it is. And as we are adapting to energy that's moving, if our brain can force ourselves to fight against that, sometimes because we want to have more control over how we feel and how we do things. It doesn't work out very well. Just saying. Just going to throw that out there. So the last thing that I think is kind of hard for a lot of people is the way that it affects the people around you and the people who you come into contact with, aka relationships and or just people you come into contact with, whether it being you're road raging or seeing people road raging, or you had a rude checkout lady or checkout man, or you just seem to be having your children's spouse, mother, father, whoever's in your life, being abnormally edgy to you and just maybe snipping at you more because they're being affected by the wave, and maybe these people are not aware that they're being affected by this wave. That becomes hard and difficult to deal with, especially if you're not in alignment in your thinking. So, and you want to just be like, wow, you are not handling this wave very well. That you can't really say that. So, you really have to, unfortunately, when you're aware, that it's affecting people, unfortunately, I say, you can try to allow them, like, not take it personally. You cannot take it so personally. You can not necessarily allow them a free pass, but when you're observing it from such a more of a non-personal standpoint, that can be very helpful when you realize it's not you specifically, but you're seeing it happen with not just one of the people that you're in a relationship with, but you're also noticing it with other people around you, and they're obviously not handling the wave very well. Then that can make you feel a little bit calmer and not so mad back. Because you want to try to, when there's a positive wave, I probably don't need to tell you guys anything. You just want to try to write it out and do all the wonderful things you're feeling driven to do. Don't put off the wonderful things. Just ride that wave and just move forth with all the wonderful things. Be motivated. Do the things that you want to do. Don't say you'll do it tomorrow, because you don't know. Tomorrow might bring a different wave. Pay attention to that. But when you're feeling one that's coming in that's affecting you in a way that you're not loving, what do you want to do? We've been talking about this, but you want to adjust your schedule. Awareness is huge when you realize that a lot of it is not a personal issue in your life, but it feels like it because of some waves that are coming through. Then you can let it go, and you can easily let that wave move through and out your life and your body and your space. You won't hold on to it. If you're not aware of it, many times, and this may happen with a spouse or your kids or like people who are unaware of it, many times when you're in that spot of feeling frustration, you try to figure out what it is, and then you start pinpointing it on stuff. You start putting a pin in, oh, must be this. Oh, I'm definitely irritated about this. Yep, I'm angry about that. And yep, I'm directing this at you. So the knowledge of understanding that it's not necessarily something in your life that's causing that feeling, then you let it go. If you're not aware of it, you hold on to it and you place a pin in it. And that keeps that energy in your body. Even when a wave moves out, it'll keep you around your system and your body. And so you don't want to put a pin in it. And you just want to let it go. So just being aware of it can be hugely helpful. How do you tell the difference between an energy wave and just, you are having a really bad, crappy situation? Because usually, again, I talk about this often, but there will be events that lead up to a crappy thing or situation if it's not a wave. Waves, the ones that I'm talking about, they tend to be blindsiding out of nowhere. Like you were going about your day, nothing unusual, and then all of a sudden you're very irritated, agitated, or you're feeling very productive and happy. Like just, you seem to be having a normal, regular time, and then you're throwing a curveball out of nowhere. Those are the ones that I'm talking about paying attention to. If you have a chain of events that have led up to something, situation where, then you have to address some stuff. Even if a wave comes through, might be changing the events slightly, but you still have to deal with the events because there's been a chain, there's a chain reaction of something that is now needing to be handled. So that's what I'm talking about. More of these waves are more the blindsiding ones. Going about your day, all of a sudden, why am I fit? That is really a key right there. If you find yourself going, what the heck is going on right now? Or are you guys noticing this? Or why am I feeling like this? There's no real reason for me to be feeling like this. Or you're like, I'm not loving how I'm feeling, or I am. Wow, this is super cool. But again, if it's super cool, you're going to write it out naturally without resistance, most likely. It's the ones that you're not handling very well that you want to pay attention to. So if you're like, what just happened? Why am I feeling like this? Is anybody else noticing this craziness? What is going on? If you're feeling like that, it's most likely an energy wave. So I hope this was helpful for you, explaining more of the ways that energy shifts affect you and your life, and the way that these waves, why you would care if they're coming in or not coming in, and what to do when they do come in. Is changing your habits, allow them to come through. Don't put a pin in it. Don't try to pin it on something in your life. Just adjust your schedule. So hopefully it was helpful. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, whether you found it on iTunes, YouTube, wherever. And if you want to be a part of the spirit community, don't forget keys-to-the-spirit-world.com. And until next time, have the most amazing day. Aloha.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
It can get lonely climbing Mount McKinley, so to entertain myself, I go to ChumbaCasino.com. At Chumba Casino, I can play hundreds of online casino-style games for free, like online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Plus, I get a daily login bonus. It's just too bad that up here, I don't have anyone to share my excitement with. Woohoo! Woohoo!
Live the Chumba life. Anytime, anywhere. Play for free now at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.